Friends, today I'll share a story inspired by a real event. It begins with a man named Yossi Ginsberg, an Israeli who, after serving 3 years in the army, travels to Bolivia seeking adventure. He always dreamed of doing something different. Now, he's in a boat heading toward a large island, beyond which lies the dense Amazon rainforest. During his journey, Yossi meets Marcus, a cheerful school teacher, and they quickly become good friends. Eventually, the two of them reach the jungle on the island. While exploring a village, Marcus runs into his photographer friend Kevin. Both are thrilled to reunite after a long time. Marcus introduces Kevin to Yossi, and soon Kevin and Yossi also form a close bond. That night, after hours of fun and laughter, everyone finally falls asleep. The next morning, October 15th, 1981, Yossi, Marcus, and Kevin board a bus to explore more of the island. They soon arrive in La Paz, a lively city where a large fair is underway. The trio spends the entire day enjoying the sights and energy of the event. The day after, as Yossi strolls alone through the city streets, he meets a man named Carl. Carl asks if Yossi is American. Yossi replies no, and the two sit down for some ginger tea. Carl shares that he's from Australia and has lived in the jungle for years. He speaks of a hidden tribe deep in the forest, with a culture thousands of years old. It's a place untouched by the modern world, filled with peace and mystery. Yossi is instantly intrigued. That evening, he tells Marcus and Kevin everything. At first, they're skeptical. Carl is a stranger, after all. Can they really trust him? But Yossi insists this could be the adventure of a lifetime. After thinking it over, Marcus and Kevin agree to join him. The next morning, Carl spreads out a map and explains the route ahead. The journey won't be easy, so the group gathers supplies and prepares for the challenges. On November 14th, 1981, their adventure begins. They board a small plane to Apolo, a remote town near the edge of the Amazon rainforest. From there, they start trekking on foot, talking and walking through the day. As night falls, they pitch their tents, build a fire, share dinner, and settle in for the night. At sunrise, everyone wakes in high spirits and pushes deeper into the forest. This part of the jungle is thick and unforgiving. Some plants are so sharp, a single touch can cut skin and draw blood. Carl urges them to move faster, warning that rain might be coming. Kevin glances at the clear sky and jokes there isn't a cloud in sight, wondering how Carl could be so sure. The group laughs. But just as Carl predicted, heavy rain suddenly pours down. Due to the heavy rain, the group is forced to stop and set up camp again. Their clothes and bags are soaked, and much of their gear is ruined. They struggle to stay warm and dry, but somehow get through the night despite the harsh conditions. The next morning, they resume walking and eventually reach their first checkpoint, a Caraimas. Upon arrival, Yossi, Kevin, and Marcus notice the villagers seem to know Carl well. It's obvious he's been here many times. The village is small, peaceful, and untouched by modern technology. People live happily without internet, phones, or social media. After enjoying the calm, the group presses deeper into the jungle. They hike through the dense forest until they come across a river. To ease the journey, they decide to follow the river's path. While walking along the bank, Carl spots a monkey in the treetops. Without hesitation, he pulls out his gun and shoots it, intending to use it as food for the night. As evening falls, they light a fire and start cooking the monkey. Carl eats without hesitation, but Kevin and Yossi are initially disgusted. Eventually, hunger gets the better of them, and they eat a little too. Marcus, however, refuses. The smell and sight of the meat make him nauseous, and he begins to vomit. Seeing this, Carl tries to comfort him, saying, "Don't worry, I'll cook some rice for you instead." The next morning, they continue their journey, but disaster strikes. Marcus injures both legs badly, they start bleeding, and the pain is unbearable. He can't walk anymore. The group realizes they can't go on foot and decides to switch to traveling by river using a boat. Carl immediately objects. He warns that the river is too dangerous, filled with fast currents and violent waves. But Kevin and Yossi, concerned for Marcus's worsening condition, insist they have no other choice. Seeing how determined the others are, Carl reluctantly agrees, though it's clear he's unhappy. Together, they cut down trees and tie logs to build a makeshift raft. At first, things seem manageable. But as they drift deeper into the river, the current strengthens, waves grow rougher, and steering the raft becomes nearly impossible. Carl shouts commands, urging them to steer right not left, but the raging river tosses the raft in all directions. Even Carl, once confident, starts to panic and loses control. Somehow, they manage to reach the shore, but frustration boils over. Kevin, angry and exhausted, blames Carl for failing to guide them. Carl, now furious, snaps. He declares he's done being the guide. If they want to continue by boat, they'll have to do it alone. From now on, he says, he's not responsible for anyone. After some time, tensions ease. Kevin and Yossi sit and talk. Kevin says he still wants to follow the river. After thinking it through, they make a tough decision. Carl and Marcus will return and wait, while Kevin and Yossi continue by boat. Marcus, though reluctant, agrees to the plan. Before parting ways, the three friends make a promise. Once the journey ends, they'll reunite in La Paz, and things will return to how they were. With that, Yossi and Kevin set off in their boat, heading back to the river. Days pass, then weeks. The journey goes smoothly for a while. It's now been over a month since they first began. Then comes December 1st, a day that changes everything. The river is calm at first, but suddenly the current grows fierce. Waves rise, the boat shakes, and they struggle to steer. The water picks up speed, slamming the boat into a massive rock. The impact traps them, leaving both men shaken and unsure of what to do. The waves crash violently. Yossi is terrified. Kevin spots the shore not far off and tells Yossi he'll swim to it and return with help. Yossi pleads with him not to go, frightened and desperate not to be left alone. But Kevin promises he'll come back. Then, without hesitation, he leaps into the river. With great effort, Kevin reaches the shore. He tries to return to help Yossi, but before he can, Yossi's hand slips. The current pulls him away. Kevin watches helplessly as his friend vanishes down the river. He yells in frustration, but there's nothing he can do. Yossi, swept far away, eventually regains consciousness. He finds himself clinging to a rock as the waters calm. Struggling, he drags himself to shore. Before him stands a towering mountain. He climbs it, calling out for Kevin, hoping he's nearby, but in the vast jungle, they are now completely separated. By nightfall, rain begins to fall. Cold and exhausted, Yossi curls up on a stone and falls asleep under the open sky. At dawn, he's awakened by a metal clinking sound. He runs to the river and sees something floating. It's his backpack. He jumps in and grabs it. Inside, he finds a few essentials, his map, some food, and an energy pill called Superman. He takes one and feels a sudden burst of energy, enough to forget hunger and thirst for a while. Revived, he runs, calling Kevin's name as he moves across the mountain. Eventually, he reaches the forest's edge, but Kevin is nowhere in sight. Using the map, Yossi marks a direction and chooses a new path. He spends the night there, hoping rescue is near. Days pass. He's now deep in a remote part of the Amazon, likely untouched by humans. 6 days go by. Yossi walks alone, wounded and starving. His feet are badly injured. One day, he spots a snake in a tree. With the little strength he has, he knocks it down and eats it raw. That night, Yossi's mind begins to unravel. He dreams of burgers and rich meals, hallucinations driven by intense hunger. To keep going, he takes another Superman pill, but this time, the side effects hit hard. His thoughts blur. He starts seeing and hearing things that aren't real, drifting between reality and delusion. One night, as he tries to sleep, he hears something moving nearby. Looking around, he spots a lion approaching. Terrified, he quickly grabs a can from his bag, attaches it to his fire spray, and creates a makeshift flamethrower. It works. The lion flees, and Yossi survives yet another terrifying night. The next morning, he wakes up starving. Wandering through the jungle, he finds a few bird eggs and eats them raw just to stay alive. Day by day, he keeps moving, forcing himself through pain and exhaustion. Eventually, he stumbles upon a familiar spot, an old checkpoint from earlier in his journey. But when he checks his map and realizes where he actually is, despair hits him hard. His destination is still far, miles away. The hope drains from him. He tries to stay positive, telling himself, "You're an explorer. You can survive. Someone will come." But another voice whispers back, "No one's coming. You're going to die out here." Still clinging to hope, Yossi keeps moving. He suddenly notices footprints in the dirt and feels a surge of excitement. Maybe Kevin passed this way. He calls out his friend's name, convinced he's close. But soon, he comes across broken eggshells and realizes the painful truth. He's been walking in circles and has ended up back where he started. Crushed and furious, he yells at himself, overcome with regret. His mind flashes back to when his father wanted him to become a lawyer, but Yossi had chosen adventure instead. Now, that choice has led him into a nightmare. That night, he dreams of a luxury casino and a beautiful woman pouring water into a glass. But he jolts awake, real water is pouring on him. A violent storm has struck the jungle. The slope he's lying on begins to flood, and he's nearly swept away. With all his strength, he pulls himself out and crawls into whatever shelter he can find. That night, Yossi completely breaks down. He cries, coming to terms with the brutal reality: no rescue is coming. The jungle stretches over hundreds of kilometers, and it's been 15 days. He's entirely alone, lost in the heart of the Amazon. Meanwhile, we find Kevin lying weak and exhausted on the riverbank. It seems he's been wandering through the jungle for days. Luckily, a local boy and his father find him and rush to help. They bring Kevin to their small riverside village, where he slowly starts to recover. Once he's regained some strength, Kevin goes to the local police station and reports about his friend Yossi, still lost in the jungle. The police inform him that the area where they were last seen is almost 100 kilometers away from the village. Desperate to save his friend, Kevin urges the police to launch a rescue. Soon, Kevin and an officer are in a helicopter, flying over the vast, unforgiving jungle. They search every possible area, but the Amazon is too dense. The trees are so thick that sunlight can barely touch the forest floor. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. At that moment, Yossi hears the helicopter above. His heart races. He climbs onto a large rock, waving his red raincoat and shouting for help. But the helicopter flies right over him without stopping. Devastated, Yossi bangs his head in frustration. The moment he had waited 15 days for, the moment someone would finally come to rescue him, passed without even noticing him. He wasn't saved. That night, his mind begins to break. Visions of his friends and parents invade his dreams, his thoughts swirling between hope and despair. He is physically exhausted, mentally broken. The next morning, something unexpected happens. Yossi wakes up to find a tribal girl sitting quietly under a tree, watching him. He approaches her slowly, trying to speak, but she doesn't understand and looks frightened. Yossi calms her down with gentle gestures, showing he means no harm. He believes she's also lost, trapped in this endless forest. He promises to protect her. As they continue, Yossi offers her food. At first, she refuses, breaking Yossi completely. Tears fill his eyes as he pleads, "Please eat, I'm so hungry. It will make me feel better." Seeing his pain, the girl finally accepts the food, comforting him for a brief moment. That night, they sleep side by side in the jungle. But when Yossi wakes up, he's alone. The girl is gone. He looks around and realizes the truth: she was never real. A hallucination, born of loneliness, fear, and his need for connection. In such deep isolation, the mind creates companions to talk to and care for. But now, that illusion is shattered, and the crushing loneliness returns. Meanwhile, the police, after days of searching, begin to lose hope, believing Yossi must be dead. But Kevin refuses to give up. Deep down, he's certain Yossi is still alive. He pleads with the police, but they say they've done all they can. Still, Kevin insists on continuing the search alone if needed. Seeing his determination, an officer finally gives him a lead, a boatman's name and location. He tells Kevin his best chance is to follow the river's path. Kevin wastes no time and is ready to do whatever it takes to bring his friend home. 3 weeks have passed, and Yossi, barely alive, wanders the jungle starving, wounded, and on the edge of madness. His mind is slipping, and one day, he stumbles into a deep swamp. He sinks into it, giving up entirely, too exhausted and defeated to fight back. But then, a strange thing happens. He dreams of his grandfather, who speaks to him lovingly, urging him to fight, to survive. The vision sparks something in Yossi, giving him just enough strength to drag himself out of the swamp. However, he's too weak to move, collapsing on the ground. Desperate, Yossi lies near a nest of red ants and allows them to bite him. The pain is excruciating, his body burning with the fire of the bites. Screaming, he hopes someone will hear him, but no one comes. His body, now covered in wounds, drags itself to the riverbank. A turtle appears, and though he longs to kill it for food, he can't bring himself to. He simply stares at it, broken, no longer able to care about eating or drinking. That night, lying by the river, Yossi finally gives in. He looks up at the sky and, in his broken state, whispers, "I'm not fighting anymore. I've become part of this forest." With that, he accepts his fate. Then, something small but beautiful happens. A butterfly lands gently on his hand, like a sign from nature, a whisper of hope. Yossi collapses, fainting by the riverbank. The next day, Kevin arrives at that spot with the boatman, still searching and refusing to give up. But Yossi is lying motionless among stones, so well hidden by the terrain that Kevin misses him. Heartbroken, Kevin believes Yossi is dead. Sadly, he turns the boat around. As it begins to move away, Yossi, barely conscious, hears voices and staggers to his feet. He summons the strength to wave and calls out, but his throat is so dry no sound comes out. Still, he smiles, grateful to see someone after so long. Suddenly, Kevin turns and spots him, Yossi, alive. Kevin shouts to the boatman, "Turn around." They rush back. Kevin jumps out and runs to Yossi, hugging him tightly. Tears fall as he says, "I told you I wouldn't leave you." Together, Kevin and the boatman bring Yossi back to the village, where he receives treatment and begins to recover. The screen fades to text, informing us that Kevin and Yossi made it to La Paz. They waited for Carl and Marcus, but they never arrived. Eventually, they learned the shocking truth: Carl was a wanted criminal. He had previously lured other travelers into the jungle, and none were seen again. The ancient tribe Carl had mentioned? It didn't exist. It was all a fabrication. The truth about what Carl did to those people remains unknown. Yossi Ginsberg's incredible survival story became known worldwide, a tale of pain, hope, and unmatched strength. And that's how the story ends.